Hello, I'm here with Cecilia Martner. Today she's running for Lompoc City Council.
On the November elections, November 4th.
We're sitting at her beautiful residence overlooking the entire Lompoc Valley.
And I want to introduce Chelsey. And Chelsey is actually the woman that sold me the house. So I know, and Chelsey is actually working on my campaign, and it's really wonderful that she's helping out on trying to figure out really what this town needs and what this town wants and what we're going to try to do about it.
Great, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Okay. So, Cecilia, tell us, why have you decided to run for City Council at this time?
Okay, so when I moved here about 2.5 years ago, I think, I started going to council meetings, and I became really amazed and appalled to see how the local government is running the town and how they really are so disrespectful in many ways to the actual public, the public that goes to the council meetings and the public that talks about what they're concerned with in the town and how they would like to protect certain things in the town, and how the council basically doesn't listen to them, and they even make mocking remarks. And I just thought that was kind of like totally out of the question to let it happen. So that was one aspect of why I decided to run for City Council. The other aspect is that I've been encouraged, and I've been encouraged by many of the residents here that do feel that there is a strong need for change in town. They do want to see newer people get involved in the community. We all, I think, want to see new people get involved in the community. Many of these council members have been there for 14, 16 years.
Yes.
And they're not open to new ideas, they're not open to change. And I think we need to change that, and many people in town feel that way, so I'm running.
Well, that's awesome. I know me, everywhere I go, everybody says that we need new blood. Lompoc does need a change, and hopefully you can deliver that to
That's
us.
right, that's right.
Okay, so Cecilia, what in your background equips you to serve as a city council member?
You know, I've thought about many answers on that. I would say the most obvious answer is that I've been in California for about 35 years. I do know many of the issues that California cities are facing today. You know, budget cuts, you know, a tremendous amount of unemployment going around, jobs going away. It's not that I was born yesterday. You know, I mean, I've been around for a while. The other reason, I mean, the other aspects of why I'm qualified or what particular skills I have, I think is I worked on the high-tech industry for a long time. I have been able to learn and manage resources very efficiently and effectively, and that has, you know, that has a big something that is very important for this town, which is budget and manage the city budget in a very responsible way. So, you know, things that are needed are done without compromising other services. You do know that there is this crisis, or quote unquote, a perceived crisis in town as far as the public safety needs. We need more firemen, we need more police, police force, and the city has failed, the city council has failed to really provide any funds or even budget any funds for this, and they went through this whole exercise of putting it on the ballot. Do you remember Measure
Yes.
T? Which, it's a long story. To make it short, Measure T didn't pass, so we don't have any budget, we don't have any money to provide for additional forces that are needed in the fire department and the police department. And I think that's just basically so irresponsible to have dealt with that in that way. I think we really do need to look at the budget, and we do need to find ways where we can fund the police and the fire department without having to put it on the ballot again, which probably will not pass. I mean, the economic times of this country today are that people are really don't want to pay extra tax, and this would be a tax increase,
Right.
minor, small, nevertheless. It's something that people, I don't think they're open to do anything like that at this time. So. I think I can probably look at the budget critically and try to look for funds to not only take care of that, but also just manage our tax base a little bit more wisely.
Okay, and with Lompoc marketing itself as being green, don't you think that sort of goes hand in hand with being self-sufficient and being sustainable?
Well, it's all about reducing your footprint, right? The carbon footprint in many ways. And I think Lompoc is just a perfect experiment in a way. I mean, we do own our utilities.
Right. I mean, you look at this little nook.
This little town here, we do not buy state water. All the towns around us buy state water at outrageous amounts of money, and also the fact that it has to come elsewhere. We use our aquifers.
Right.
We deal with our waste. With a very high-tech, state-of-the-art facilities. So I do think that Lompoc needs to continue that trend, which is a trend of self-sufficiency. We should not pave our agricultural land. We should grow the food here, and we should totally, support any local farmer, however small it may be, to provide food for the town. And yes, it can go elsewhere, but I think fostering that very, local, live locally kind of stuff and do your stuff locally is very important for this town.
Right.
Absolutely. And yes, and we own the police department and we own the fire department, and I think we should try to keep it that way, unless we fail at providing the services. Now there is conversations that the fire department wants to annex themselves or be part of the county. I think it needs to be looked at, but it could be something that is really actually not good for the city, as far as it might end up costing us more money to have fire services managed by the county instead of the city itself. But it's something that needs to be looked at.
Okay. You use the phrase for sensible growth on your campaign ads and your tagline. What do you mean by this, and why is it one of the major focuses of your campaign?
Well, it's kind of what we were talking about. What I mean by sensible growth is to have a community that is sustainable. And a sustainable community is basically a community where people have jobs that are meaningful to themselves, that can provide for themselves and their families, that the city has clean water and clean air, and that we can provide quality services to our young and to our old, but making sure that we're not depleting the resources, making sure that we're not using our resources such that future generations don't have it. So that's what a sustainable community is, and that's what sensible growth is. Sensible growth is that if we're going to build a house, we got to make sure that there is a job behind it, and that if we're going to have a house, we got to make sure that there's going to be water that is not going to be depleted, that we're not going to use all our open space and so forth. So it's a livable city, it's a livable city where not only this generation but future generations will be able to enjoy.